Hello, everyone. Welcome. In this demo, we're going to go over how you can deploy an application in the mesh and bring it to production using our NGINX Modern Apps portfolio. And when we move it to production, that comes with monitoring and enhanced security. And so we're going to be able to deploy our application with NGINX Unit in the Service Mesh and integrate it with the NGINX Ingress Controller so that it can be connected to the internet. We're also going to deploy the NGINX Ingress Controller with App Protect to provide a secure perimeter around your applications in the mesh. So the first thing I want to go over is the function that I'm going to use in my application. And it's a very simple function, just for the sake of this demo. It's a JavaScript function that will return a hello from unit application server for JavaScript. So I want to bring this application to life. And I want to use it, and I want to do it as fast as possible using the NGINX portfolio. So the first step is to use NGINX Unit to run this function. And we use this configuration file here, which is pretty straightforward, which is telling Unit to listen on port 8080 and go ahead and run this application, which is our JavaScript function. And so if I want to deploy this in the mesh, I would have to containerize it, push it to a container registry, and then deploy it as a deployment. And I go ahead and use this Docker file to do this, to go ahead and build the container, the image. And so as you can see, I have the Space app running here. And it is injected with an NGINX sidecar proxy because we have the NGINX Service Mesh running in the Kubernetes cluster. And I also have the NGINX Ingress Controller with App Protect. That is the gateway. That will be the gateway to external services outside the cluster. And it will provide a secure perimeter around the applications in the mesh to protect from attacks. So the first thing I want us to go over is the monitoring. So if I want to centrally monitor my applications in the mesh and my Ingress controller, I can do so thanks to Prometheus and Grafana that comes included with the NGINX Service Mesh integration in the NGINX Mesh namespace. So if I did a port forward to these two pods, and I can see them over here. Here are my targets, and they include the NGINX sidecars for every application or service in the mesh and my NGINX Plus Ingress controller. And if I want to visualize the metrics coming from these data planes, I can go ahead and use Grafana, and there it is. I could see all the metrics and the legend that shows every deployment in my service mesh, including the Ingress controller. So that's the first step. That's the monitoring step. And so let's say I'm from my local machine and I want to connect to this application, to this backend application. Well, I can do it thanks to the Ingress controller. So if I do a curl, and I curl to the Ingress controller, which has a host space.example.com, and I do it regularly, just without any cross-site scripting attacks, I get an OK response, and I can connect to my application. Say if I want to enter something suspicious here, like a cross-site scripting attack to my backend application pod, well, NGINX App Protect will respond and reject the request. And if you want to see all the details of this rejection, you can go ahead and view the logs, which can be found in the syslogs pod running in my default namespace. And so you would just do go inside the container and view the var log /var/log messages. There you go. And there's my attack. It's saying it's an attack type, and it's a cross-site scripting attack. So there's one aspect of security, protecting my applications using a WAF. Now, you can also incorporate a zero trust model for enhanced security, where only a particular service can connect to my Space app. And that just adds another layer of security and protection to your application, making sure that only one service can connect to it. And so in order to do this, we do have a Service Mesh integration resource that allows you to set that strict policy. And so if we want to do that, we go to our resources, and then let me just go here real quick and check that out. I believe it's in Service Mesh. There you go. And if we go to access control. So here's a resource. If I can go ahead and create a traffic target resource that's going to tell the Service Mesh where sources from the sources allowed service account can access my Space app. Otherwise, reject it. So if I go ahead and apply this access control policy, and I try to connect again to my Ingress controller without any suspicious attacks here, just regularly, I will get a forbidden request because the Ingress controller is integrated with the Service Mesh, and that Ingress controller as a service is not allowed to communicate to my Space app. But there is a strict policy that states that the source allows service account service can communicate to that. And that service so happens to be my driver allowed service. So if I go ahead and do a log, one second. So if I do a log, there you go. Driver allowed. I can see that the request is going through for the east-west traffic from my driver's allowed pod because I set it that way. But if I go ahead and do it from another pod in the mesh, like say a driver disallowed. So let's go ahead and do that one. Log and then make the app driver disallowed. Disallowed. We can see that it's forbidden. So as you can see here, I set an extra zero trust model where only one service with east-west traffic can communicate to my Space app. So which demonstrates the enhanced security here. So there you have it. I just demonstrated how you can take a function, use Unit to run it, deploy it in the Service Mesh, and centrally monitor your NGINX data plane using Grafana and Prometheus. Finally, provide a secure perimeter around your applications in the mesh to protect them from malicious attacks and external attackers. And finally, you deploy a cloud load balancer, right, to as an external IP address, so you can expose your Ingress controller to external users and make it production ready. I hope you enjoyed this demo. Take care.